Go on. Hurry to your death.
A few moments later.
Kira will definitely be caught. Don't you think?
Man, how the fuck?
Welcome back, everyone.
Episode 7, Overcast.
The episode starts off with a sort of unofficial recap to get people up to speed. In it, Light basically states that Naomi, or Shoko, has gathered enough information to pose a significant threat to him. Essentially, if she speaks to the police, he's fucked. No Vaseline kind of fucked, you feel me?
We need to start investigating it right away. Could you please tell me the date and time of the bus jacking incident?
It was December 20th in front of...
Why would she entertain any of this? Like, seriously, what purpose does this serve to her? Her whole thing thus far has been that she wants to speak to someone on the task force, but now she's going to let this high school student, who really only tangentially has a relationship to the MPA via his father, take down her information to do what exactly? He's not a cop, he's not really anyone. He's a kid who volunteered on a case one time a year ago. She wants to speak to them herself, so why let him take this information? It's not that it's so much an issue in a broad sense, it just more so doesn't feel as though it aligns with what she stated previously, as well as what she'll profess later on.
What's so funny, Ryuk?
We will get to all of this chuckling in just a moment.
I've determined that Kira is not among us.
How can you be certain that we're all innocent?
From the beginning, I set a number of traps that would reveal if any of you was Kira.
I do wonder what was said during these conversations, because I'm honestly trying to figure out what sort of traps he could have laid that would have somehow revealed that one of them was Kira. Like, I don't see how you could determine if someone was Kira via a single conversation, regardless of how prolonged it might have been. Also, I'm curious as to what he would have done if he felt like one of them was Kira. How would the trap he set prove that in any substantial way, you know?
Excuse me?
Unbelievable. He tells us to turn off our cell phones.
Next level trolling right there. That being said, by having them turn their phones off, he kind of screwed himself, because had the chief's phone been on, things might have gone a little differently. By how much, I can't say. I mean, I suppose Light could have initially lied about his father's phone being off, but I don't know. Everything about this particular meeting is kind of fucked, honestly. The timing, its length, the fact that everyone who could have spoken to Ray's fiance is away from the office. This was, without a doubt, the worst possible time this meeting could have been held. But then, how could they have possibly known that?
I'd like to report this incident to my father, if it's okay with you, that is.
If it's all the same, I think I'd like to report it myself.
Then again, why let him write down the information if you don't want him to give it to his father?
Go on. Hurry to your death.
A few moments later.
Kira will definitely be caught. Don't you think?
Man, how the fuck?
It's interesting. The look on her face makes it seem like she might be somewhat suspicious of him. But I'm actually going to come back to this a little later. It's not super important, but it actually speaks to something she comments on later in the episode.
What's going on? It should have happened already. I remember thinking it was bizarre how he laughed when I asked for her name. In fact, he's reacted the same way every time her name comes up. An alias.
So, okay, fun fact, this isn't technically a reveal. I don't know if this is just a mistake on the part of the English version or not, but in episode 5, Ray actually calls her by her name.
But now you're my fiance, Naomi. We talked about this.
I didn't actually notice that until I was watching it this most recent time. It's quick, and it almost sounds like he's saying now twice, but that sentence wouldn't make any sense. He is, in fact, saying Naomi. The Netflix subtitles actually confirm it. Anyway, aside from that, I would say this revelation speaks to Light's intelligence. He only had 2 clues to work with. 1, the fact that she didn't die, and 2, the fact that Ryuk has been chuckling his ass off all damn morning. I can't say that those 2 things would automatically lead me to that conclusion, at least not at first. I say that mostly because of how open she's been. That, and there wasn't any sort of hesitation when she provided her name. She even explained the meaning in detail the same way Light did.
Gentlemen, it's an honor to meet all of you.
Corporate wants you to find the differences between these 2 images.
They're the same picture.
No, but really, tell me this isn't this universe's version of Bruce and Alfred. I mean, come on.
What about your usual outfit?
If I dressed like that, I'd be announcing to the world that I am Watari.
One of the first instances we get of Matsuda saying stupid shit, which will become a running gag throughout the series. Because, like, bro, what do you mean? You expect me to just walk around like that all the time? Think, Matsuda, think.
The fact that I'm here is proof that you've won Ryozaki's trust.
That's actually kind of cool, and does say a lot about how he feels about them at this point. I'd say Watari revealing his true face is on par with Ryuzaki doing so. How long have they just been walking together like this, not saying anything to each other? This just feels mad awkward, especially with the way she was looking at him earlier. It's like, fuck off?
She's been overly cautious from the beginning.
I mean, yes, but also no. She told you everything she knows, literally everything, and you're essentially a nobody. It would have made more sense to tell all of this to the receptionist instead of the kid whose dad is a cop.
It's gonna be almost impossible to ask for her real name knowing she gave me an alias the first time.
He has a point. It's like, yes, I now know what the issue is, but I have no real way to fix it. He says so himself in the very next line.
It looks suspicious that I even knew she was using an alias.
And he's right. Having this information really doesn't do him any good currently. It's kind of like when you run into Snorlax on Route 12 for the first time in Pokemon Fire Red, or Leaf Green if you're a weirdo. It's like, I know what the problem is. There's a big ass Pokemon just sleeping in the middle of the road, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't know how to make this big bitch move. And maybe that's not the best example, but fuck you. I spent hours trying to figure that shit out as a kid. Anyway, he has to figure out a way to coax it out of her without drawing too much suspicion or attention. It really is a fucked up kind of situation.
I should probably be getting back soon. Someone from the task force might be back there by now.
Let's cross our fingers and hope someone's there.
It's super weird that they're having this conversation so far apart. Like, I'd imagine they'd be practically screaming at each other at this distance. It actually reminds me of that scene from Shazam, where they're talking to each other above the city.
Wait, what? You're like a mile away from me right now.
So I'm going to comment on this more in just a minute, but I just want to say that this behavior is suspicious as hell, but again, we will get to it.
Oh no, what if my father calls back now? This phone rings, it's all over for me. What am I gonna do? This is crazy. All I have to do is turn my cell phone off.
Light is panicking, and it's causing him to think illogically. And I don't mention that as a fault on his part. It makes a lot of sense. When panic starts to sink in, it can make you act out of character, and that's what we're seeing here. Obviously, the simple solution would be to turn off his phone, but he's panicking, and that solution doesn't immediately come to him. To be fair, it didn't come to me either. The story pulls you in to the point that you're sitting there also like, oh shit, what if he does call? Like, it's such a minor thing, but it could really fuck everything up. Sure, he could lie, but if he's not convincing, she might become even more weary of him, and that's the last thing he needs right now.
She's gotta have a driver's license or some kind of personal identification on her somewhere. She's a woman after all.
Bro, what? Why would you say that? What does that even mean? Okay, so actually I watched this again with the subtitles, and this is a weird misreading. The line about her being a woman is in direct relation to his next line, one regarding the fact that he could overpower her if need be, not the fact that she would be carrying her ID with her. Such a weird little grammatical error, I guess you would call it, because the way it's said implies something very different than what it's supposed to mean.
I suppose if I had to, I could use force. No, the last thing I want to do is make a scene in public.
Yeah, because trying to snatch her back would just be, that would not be a good idea. Like, people are going to notice that, and they're gonna give you shit for it, and it's not worth it.
I've got to get her somewhere isolated. It would never work. She's too careful.
So this would have been my game plan, personally. I know he says it wouldn't work, but I mean, I feel like it's a solid option. Say you just remembered where your dad said he'd be today and that you could take her there. It's not perfect, but despite your claims about her being overly cautious, she does seem to at least somewhat trust you. I mean, she hasn't told anyone else about this, and if you say you're taking her to your father, I don't know, I'd be inclined to think she'd be willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. Now, she may get more cautious the further away you get from other people, like if you were to take her down a deserted alley or something, but I still feel like it's a viable option. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments, as well as any other ideas you might have as to how we could possibly get her name.
That deal I mentioned is still open. It's just like putting on contact lenses.
Okay, so one, Ryuk's a fucking asshole. Or fuck, maybe he's not. He is pretty much confirming it at this point. I mean, in a roundabout way, but still pretty much a confirmation. And two, how does this guy know what contact lenses are? Is that just something that came up in conversation between him and Light?
Would I be willing to give up half my life just so I could learn this woman's real name?
It's definitely worth thinking about, my guy. I mean, when you consider...
No, I wouldn't. It's not even worth considering. Now quit wasting my time.
Oh, well, fuck me, I guess.
Do you still have business at the police station then? I'd like to go there by myself, if you don't mind.
Oh, but fuck you too, bitch boy. No, but in all seriousness, this situation does keep getting a lot worse.
Why did you give us fake IDs?
While the answer seems obvious enough, it is a fair question. They mention this themselves, but the idea of the police carrying false credentials is kind of strange. However, given the circumstances and what they're up against, it's honestly the only safe option if they intend on continuing to investigate Kidda.
Enough. What choice do we really have given the capabilities of our enemy?
Yeah, you got a good point.
Again, the chief acting as a sort of parental figure to the other agents. I didn't really mention it in the last episode, but there were a couple of instances wherein he had to rein his agents in when they were doing a little bit too much. Mostly Aizawa's loud ass.
I'd like to request that you wear these at all times.
Not Alfred giving these dudes fucking utility belts. That being said, that is pretty cool, and I'm sure at some point it'll come in handy.
This is totally cool. I feel like some kind of secret agent going after Kira.
Quiet, Matsuda. Knock it off.
Well, damn, dog. I'm not even gonna lie. I probably would have excused myself to go cry. Like, that just reminds me of my dad yelling at me whenever I fucking open my mouth. All right, everybody. Welcome back to How to Read. So for the first one we have, a god of death has no obligation to completely explain how to use the note or the rules which will apply to the human who owns it. Well, damn, for as much shit as Light gives Ryuk, to know that he really had no obligation to tell him anything is kind of interesting. I'm honestly surprised Ryuk takes so much shit from him. I guess he probably realizes that eventually, regardless of how things go for Light, one day he's going to pay Light back for all the bullshit when he writes his name down in his spare notebook. And for the second one, we have a god of death can extend his life by putting humans' names on the note, but humans cannot. And, I mean, need I say any more about this? Okay, so let's talk about how weird Light is for a second, yeah? Because as you can see, despite things ending with her letting him know that she wants to go to headquarters by herself, he is still following her. Like, that's fucking creepy, man. In fact, he's been acting creepy this whole time. Remember that scene at the fountain? Think about the logistics of that for a second. Whatever conversation they had been having had already fizzled out. In fact, at that point, he had fallen pretty far behind her. However, after she stopped, spoke to him, and started walking the opposite direction, he decided to also stop, wait for her to pass, and then continue walking behind her. Light, do you realize how fucking weird that behavior is? Don't get me wrong, I know he doesn't have a choice. He's gotta get her name. But bro, at this point, she's made it clear that she wants you to back the fuck off, and you're still following her. Dude, you're stalking her. Quite frankly, it's making me uncomfortable at this point. She's polite as fuck, because I damn sure would have turned around at this point and been like, can I help you, sir? Like, I get that he's charismatic as fuck, but there are limits, and the limit was about 50 paces back, my guy.
All right. Oh, what you doing?
I fucking love Ryuk. Dude has no stakes in this, but is just genuinely interested in seeing how this plays out.
It'll be impossible for you to contact anyone from the task force directly.
My first question would have been, why are you only telling me this now? Like, we've been talking all this time and you've been encouraging me to tell my story and all that, but now, all of a sudden, you're telling me I won't be able to because they won't talk to me? The fuck?
I just need to find something that she can latch onto, and I've got her.
On the flip side, I know this dude is talking out of his ass, and I gotta give him props for that, if nothing else. I mean, this is literally life or death for him right now, and I guess, well, while she may not yet know it, it's also kind of life or death for her too.
You'll never be able to talk to someone directly from the task force because the police simply won't allow it.
That's pretty clever. I'm impressed.
This is supposed to be a secret, then how do you know so much?
Guess I spoke too soon. She's sharp.
Ryuk's pretty much doing the commentary for me at this point, but yes, that is a solid retort. I would have probably still tacked on the why are you telling me this now, but you know, that's just me.
It's because I'm actually a member of the task force.
Huh?
I don't know, man. It's a hell of a gamble to just throw that out there, but he's framed it in such a way that it can't be verified by anyone currently at headquarters. And as I mentioned previously, he has credibility because of that jackass at HQ mentioning how he helped on the case before. It's an interesting take, especially given he added the information about L, something the general public would not be aware of. That being said, he might have just overheard a conversation with his father or something, you know? But then it's like, from her perspective, why would he even lie about this? We have to remember she's not even considering that this dude is Kira.
An elite group of people handpicked for the job by L. All are highly skilled, well-respected, and above all, trustworthy.
See, after telling me all this, I would be even more suspicious because if he was really on the task force, the appropriate thing to do in this situation would be to take the information to the task force and then ask that they bring her in. Telling her that he works for this super secret task force headed by L, all of which is supposed to be a secret, seems like a major red flag. Ryuk is my spirit animal, I swear.
Thanks for explaining. But just to be safe, I'd like to try and visit the task force headquarters again.
Didn't give a fuck about anything he just said.
It's literally impossible to meet Elle. This is pointless.
Again, this is weird. I'd be like, why are you trying to keep me from going there? Nothing you're saying makes any sense. If what you're saying is right, then worst case scenario, I'm just wasting my own time. Fine, my fiance is dead, bro. I don't have shit else to do right now.
Who's at the police station right now?
No one's there at the moment.
We need someone there at all times.
Aizawa, I'll put you in charge of that for today.
I'm on my way. Won't take me long.
The stakes just continue to rise, and I appreciate it because, whew, gotta love the suspense.
Ms. Maki, please wait a second.
Bro, now you're literally blocking her way. If I was her, I'd be concerned as fuck. This is weird behavior, and I feel like she should recognize that.
I didn't tell you this, but up until 3 months ago, I worked as an FBI agent.
It was at this moment that she knew.
Not yet.
I noticed early on that your investigative skills were far beyond those of an amateur.
And here comes the charm again. Man even managed to pull her attention away from the police station again.
But I think that if I go to headquarters and I give them my name, there's a chance that they'll let me speak with him directly.
Interesting. She didn't give Light her name, but she intended on giving it to the receptionist so that he could give it to Elle. Hell, what's even more interesting is that she trusted him with everything else, but even after mentioning that he was working with Elle, she still didn't jump at the opportunity to give him her name so that he could tell Elle about her. If she was going to give it to the receptionist, it seems like she should have also been willing to give it to him right then and there.
But if the only person you could trust with this info was Elle, then why me?
I'll be honest with you. It's because you remind me of Elle.
Yet another instance of Light and Elle being compared to each other, this time by an outside party. Though, to be fair, I don't know if she's the best person to make that claim, especially considering the only version of Light she knows is a facade.
I want you to come work with us as part of the task force. We could use your help.
Such a perfect solution to the problem. In discovering she was an FBI agent, he now has the perfect opportunity to offer her a position. And as such, she'll be forced to be forthcoming with who she is.
You want me to join the task force?
Oh, the look in her eyes. This is more than she could have ever hoped for. Think about it. He's already affirmed her theory, telling her that she might be onto something. And now she's being offered the opportunity to join the task force and bring her fiance's murderer to justice. Man, fuck Light, bro. Manipulated the fuck out of this poor woman. And then he's just gonna spout shit like,
I can't help but think that it must be fate that I met you today.
Fuck that guy. During all of this, you have Aizawa inching closer and closer, first leaving the hotel and then walking down familiar streets. Danger is closing in, but the way things are going with Light, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point.
But you're young and beautiful, and you've got your life ahead of you.
No! Now that Ray's gone, I've got nothing to lose anymore.
Oh, you've still got something to lose, my girl.
Please let me investigate this case with you.
Dude's just having the time of his life right now.
I just need to see some form of identification before we proceed.
So will a Japanese driver's license do the trick then?
And it's a wrap. Not even Light can appreciate just how close he was to losing it all. The fact that Aizawa walked right past him and just... Man, Light just stays winning, y'all.
If you don't mind my asking, why do you keep checking your watch?
Before we get to see what happens next, I want to take a second to go back to what I had mentioned earlier about the look on her face. Her mentioning the watch, in a way, kind of speaks to her ability to pay attention to detail. I just wanted to point that out before, well...
I guess it's because I'm Kira.
It was at this moment that she knew. She fucked up.
It's that anguished moment of realization that really does it for me. It's fucked up, man. Honestly, I'd say it's the best/worst kill of the whole series. It leaves me so conflicted because part of me is impressed with Light for managing to pull it off, but on the other hand, I feel so bad for this woman because, damn, y'all, let's just wrap this shit up. That vacant look in her eyes, like, damn, I wonder if she has any understanding of what's happening to her. Like, Ray's name was written in the notebook before he died and he was behaving normally, but she looks like, well, like a dead woman walking. I wonder if there's a part of her that's struggling, fighting it, like Euphemia did with Lelouch's Gias. I don't know, it just sucks.
What's the matter? My father's cell phone might be available now. Do you want to see if you can talk to him?
Fuck you, man. Like you're such why? Why would you do this? What is the point of this?
Goodbye, Naomi Misora.
They did not need to add that. Like, damn, bro. Like, just, oh my gosh. Are we done? Are we done yet? Thank you. That's all for this one. As always, drop a comment if you noticed anything I didn't. If you liked the video, then drop a like. And if you really liked it, then feel free to subscribe. Until next time, y'all, peace.